Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining the webinar today. This is Brett Daly. I'm the Alliance Marketing Director here at StorageCraft, and very happy to have our alliance partner, Buffalo, with us today. And this is Buffalo and StorageCraft team up on disaster recovery. So as we jump in and look at our agenda, we'll have some welcome and intros, and we'll take care of a little bit of regular business work. Sorry for seeing my notification on the screen there. So yeah, and then I'm going to go through a StorageCraft and Buffalo overview of the partnership. We'll backdrop that against some deployment scenarios. And then we're really going to dive into the offering from Buffalo that we're talking about today, the TeraStation StorageCraft Recovery Center 25. But you'll see that we've left a lot of time for demo and Q&A. In fact, everything that we talk about in the beginning will be showing you, I think all of it, in the demonstration and Q&A. So with that, like I said, we're being recorded, and we'll at the end we'll give a couple of Shadow Protect desktops away. So if you stay to the end, you'll be entered into the drawing. You don't need to do anything. We'll just reach out to you and get that to you, so you can use Shadow Protect to protect your personal computer. Again, I'm Brett Daly here at StorageCraft, and I'll be joined by Mike Wong, sales engineer from Buffalo, who's today out of Austin at Buffalo America's HQ. And I'll also be joined by Martin Merrill, sales engineer at StorageCraft. He'll be running our demos today. Both Martin and I are here at StorageCraft headquarters, and a beautiful day here in Salt Lake Valley. So with that, let's go ahead and talk about some assumptions I've made, actually. So I've gone through the registration list. We have a lot of interest in this offering. Great to see, and thank you again for joining. And but as I look through, you know, the assumptions I'm making is you're either a Buffalo or a StorageCraft partner or both. And more assumptions, you're an IT solution provider and you're serving the small and medium businesses. Our partnership with Buffalo revolves around the smaller end of your client base as far as the offering goes. And we have a real good mix here. We have people that are a pure managed service business model, some with a fixed and project-based business model, but all of you, again, are serving small, medium business as a IT solution provider. And almost all of you are offering today some type of data and system recovery services. Now, you may be doing that in different ways, but in general, you understand the cost and causes of downtime. You're able to position that and go to market with that as an offering as part of your portfolio, approaching new clients with that offering, etc. And we're not going to spend a lot of time about that today, but you should know we have a lot of resources for you as far as positioning, messaging, marketing, MDF opportunities, etc., to take your offering forward. You are doing data protection. Maybe you're doing a file and folder, just data straight to the cloud, possibly. And for our StorageCraft partners, of course, you're using us. We're an image-based, snapshot-based, disk-to-disk full system recovery solution. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. And for our StorageCraft partners, certainly a portion of this is going to be reviewed for you as far as capabilities and attributes of the Shadow Protect product line. But hopefully you'll see some new things as well. We'll be demoing off the SPX interface today. We'll be showing virtual boot on Hyper-V, etc. And of course, you'll learn a lot more about the Buffalo offering. So also what I know that you're expecting from us, you're expecting a data and system recovery solution that is first and foremost and really only profitable. And we have a lot of attributes in the joint offering with Buffalo and with us that can make this a profitable solution as part of your portfolio that you take to clients. And one is reliability. Certainly Shadow Protect is known in the industry and by you as a very reliable solution for system and data recovery. And really, at no time is your performance more important to your clients than during a recovery scenario. Your reputation is on the line, their business is on the line. It's very stressful. situation to be under, and you've got to have something that you have confidence and competence in to have that reliability. Also, it's fast. We know it has to be fast. Downtime is expensive, as you know, and as part of your pitch to your clients. And so being able to recover full systems and data quickly is paramount. It needs to be automated and transparent. The more that you have to tend something that's part of your portfolio, it just cuts into your profit. So ease of deployment, set and forget type of mentality, and no impact on performance of systems that you're protecting. And flexibility is huge. You may want to offsite between two client sites. You have a small customer like, I'm not ready for the cloud. I have 2 offices. I want to replicate between those. Or you have your own colo or your own data center. We're very flexible as far as the offsiting and the margin that you can capture by doing that. You can also leverage StorageCraft for offsite, and we'll talk more about StorageCraft cloud services. And easily tested, has to be there, and backed by excellent support. So we think we're hitting on all these with the joint offering from Buffalo and StorageCraft, and a word on profitability as well. We're not a lowest cost solution out there, but all these things, when it goes into the, I want you to be profit sensitive, maybe not so price sensitive, and we think that the combination of the two is really, like I said, hitting on this. So, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and give you an overview of the Buffalo and StorageCraft partnership, but I'm going to do that based on the backdrop of deployment scenarios. So I have this beautiful line on my slide. This line is going to serve a couple of purposes for us today. It's going to be a network cable, and it's going to be a continuum of capability for system and data recovery. So loosely a timeline, but more of, as we move from left to right, more and more capable. So let's start off with, this is our small business client. We have some workstations, we have a server, and as an IT solution provider, we talk to them about the importance of having quick system and data recovery, and we start off when we attach a USB drive, Buffalo drive to a server, and maybe we're doing just data backup, which is, magnitudes of better than doing nothing. So that's all good. But then as you move into using something like Shadow Protect, which is an image-based, snapshotting-based, full system recovery and data recovery solution, where we're snapping the whole system, capturing it as a whole. We'll talk more about this as we go. But you get some really great benefits. Even with this simple deployment model, you have fast full system restore, simple file and folder recovery, and one thing StorageCraft has built a reputation on is the ability to restore to dissimilar hardware and dissimilar hypervisors, actually. So the ability to restore a Intel-based, let's say Lenovo brand, over to an AMD-based other brand. We're very competent and reliable at doing dissimilar hardware. So that's the beginning, and that's all good, but as we get, there's some drawbacks to this model that you're probably aware of, but still being used by some. But we get a little more sophisticated, and we say, hey, we're going to bring in a Buffalo TeraStation into this mix, a nice, Linux-based NAS, couple gig of RAM, Atom processor, but a capable storage device, and we're going to consolidate where we're landing Shadow Protect backups to, and we do that on the Buffalo device, and then we have some more innovations at StorageCraft, and we do things fast incremental, for example. And so instead of doing full snapshots, we start to do incremental snapshots during production hours with no impact on the production system. And so we start to manage that backup technique with some management utilities, and we put a management node on the network. We're running the management utilities. We're doing some offsite replication instead of sneaker netting a USB drive off, and And one feature that's well appreciated by our existing partners, and you should know about as a potential partner, is Virtual Boot, which allows you to virtualize into a recovery virtual machine right out of backups. No file conversion, no nothing. And I won't go too deep into that. You'll see that demoed, and we'll talk about it more. But this is a well-used deployment scenario for Buffalo and StorageCraft. A Windows-based management node running our utilities with enough juice on it that you can virtual boot from the Buffalo device. So as time went on, Buffalo then introduced a Windows storage server based TeraStation. And so that allowed us to do some interesting things, and that is to get a little more efficient on what's happening. So went from 2 gig of RAM in those up to 4 gig in the Windows storage server device, and because of that, we were able to then run our utilities right on the Windows storage server based TeraStation, and with a processor that didn't support virtualization, so we still have a node that we need to leverage for virtual boot, but we certainly were able to leverage offsiting. And like I mentioned, that could be to another TeraStation, between offices, to your own infrastructure, or leveraging StorageCraft Cloud Services that provides near instant virtualization recovery in the cloud. But completely flexible and optional. Of course, we recommend it, but optional. So at that point, this is a nice deployment scenario. But what we're talking about today is the TeraStation StorageCraft Recovery Center 25, and you can kind of imagine what's happening here. But for the first time, Buffalo has an offering that we're able to leverage all of StorageCraft's recovery techniques and capabilities right on the device. So, and then I'll allude, Buffalo has an active roadmap with us. They want to hear your feedback about what you're looking for, and so future offerings are possible. But again, today we're going to focus on what was announced 2 weeks ago today, and that's the Recovery Center 25. So with that backdrop, I will go ahead and turn the time over to Mike Wong at Buffalo to dive into the Recovery Center.
All right. Well, Brett, thanks a lot. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the time. My name is Michael Wong. I am the sales engineer for Buffalo Technology, and I'll also be spending the next couple of minutes going over, what the solution does. So Buffalo and StorageCraft are really excited to introduce this product, the Recovery Center 25 BDR appliance. The Recovery Center 25 represents the latest evolution of the StorageCraft and Buffalo partnership. It's a full-featured BDR based on a new TeraStation chassis. Those of you who are familiar with TeraStations will see that this looks completely different than what we've offered in the past. And it also comes pre-installed with several products from StorageCraft's Recovery Solution suite. Its main purpose is small businesses running in the event of disasters, whether they be big or small. And disasters come in many forms. It could be something as small as human error, where you delete either a folder or maybe even a file or a folder. Or it could be something more serious such as theft, or even more serious such as a natural disaster. These disasters cause downtime, which for small business can cripple them if they are not addressed quickly. And the following slides go over how the Recovery Center can greatly minimize downtime, that downtime caused by disasters, by addressing the 3 initials in BDR, which are backup, disaster, and recovery. So let's take a look at the backup scenario. So here we have a typical small business environment, up to 25 workstations, maybe 1 to 2 business critical servers, and the Recovery Center 25 residing locally in the office. On those clients is StorageCraft's Shadow Protect SPX, a licensed backup utility. SPX is not just file backup. It's full system snapshots that capture both files and folders, applications, the operating system, and any settings that are on the machine itself. The snapshots can be scheduled to run as often as 15 minutes, meaning that at most you lose up to 15 minutes of work, which most people would consider very reasonable. So those snapshots are then copied over to the Recovery Center 25, and installed on Recovery Center 25 is StorageCraft's Image Manager, and that has several roles. First, it acts as a gatekeeper where it validates if those snapshots are valid or not. If it's valid, it will save it, and if that snapshot is not, it won't. So this ensures that any snapshots or those snapshots will work if and when you ever need to recall them. The second part of Image Manager is that it manages data retention of those snapshot images. So you can imagine you have 25 workstations, a couple servers, constantly backing up to the Recovery Center every 15 minutes. Over time, that's going to start to accumulate, and you want to be able to manage which of those recovery points or how much of those recovery points are there. You don't want a year's worth of backups because a year's worth of data or last year's data probably isn't relevant to you today. So Image Manager helps manage those data retention policies. And the third part of Image Manager is that it allows you to replicate off-site. And you can replicate to, here we're showing you can replicate up to StorageCraft Cloud Services or another Recovery Center 25, or not pictured here is third-party clouds such as Amazon or Microsoft Azure, or another machine capable of receiving backups from Image Manager. Those are all supported through the solution. The Recovery Center gives customers choices in what their off-site backup plan is. Some of our competitors are not so flexible in that way, and they force you to back up your data on their BDR to their cloud and charge you for that data that gets sent up to their cloud. So off-site replication is optional in this case. You don't even have to back up to the cloud or an off-site target if you want to. It is optional, but it is highly recommended. So the solution is extremely flexible. And so that brings us to the next portion of things, which is how the Recovery Center 25 handles disasters. So imagine a business-critical machine such as an Exchange server went down. How long could you go without email before it starts to affect your business? Most would say that would be crippling immediately. So the Recovery Center 25 has the ability to spin up a virtual machine of that down machine, reducing the time that you spend without email from minutes instead of hours or days. And this is how it's done. So Shadow Protect comes installed on the Recovery Center 25, but it's used differently than it was on the clients, which I showed you in the last slide. Using those images that are stored on the Recovery Center, those backup images, an SPX feature that's called Virtual Boot can spin up a virtual machine of that down server. So now that Exchange server that went down is now running or can run on the Recovery Center 25. In the event that you have a site-wide disaster and you don't have access to the Recovery Center 25, again, maybe somebody comes in and steals it, or you have a power outage, or some sort of natural disaster, you're also able to spin up virtual machines from these off-site locations, such as the StorageCraft Cloud or Recovery Center 25. The other scenario where you might want to use off-site replication is if you find that the horsepower on the Recovery Center 25 is not enough to run the machine that went down. So in the StorageCraft Cloud, for example, there is a lot of horsepower up there, and you can basically run any machine can be virtualized on that and would perform fairly, pretty well as the original hardware. So Virtual Boot is supported using Oracle VirtualBox and also supports Microsoft's Hyper-V hypervisors. And as I just mentioned, the Recovery Center 25 most likely won't provide the same performance as the physical hardware that went down, and I'll talk about that later on with what's under the hood. But it will keep you going until your hardware replacement arrives. So you might slow down, but you won't go down. The Recovery Center 25 and Virtual Boot is meant to act as a spare tire. So even though you can't go, the same speed you could on a regular, on your regular tire, it will get you to a place where, and will keep you going. You don't have to stop your business. So this is why it's important to eventually replace your hardware, which brings us to the recovery aspect of the Recovery Center. So the recovery process is made easy with Recovery Environment. That's the third and final StorageCraft product that comes pre-installed on the Recovery Center 25. Recovery environment allows users to execute a bare metal restore on the replacement machine. So replacement machines can be dissimilar hardware, meaning it doesn't need to be the same model or even manufacturer. And you know, one could look at this as a glass as being half full, as it could be an opportunity to upgrade your hardware. Once the hardware arrives, recovery environment can create an ISO image, again, based on the snapshot images that are saved on the Recovery Center. And once that's done, you can restore the replacement unit to a period in time of the most recent backup, meaning that very little of your work is lost. So that's a quick overview of this BDR solution. And you know, I hope it shows you how the Recovery Center can keep your small business running in the event of a disaster, whether it be big or small. The Recovery Center 25 was designed specifically for small businesses which have 1 to 2 business critical machines and about 25 users. That's the reason why we're calling it 25 in the name. That's not a hard and fast number. You can have organizations, you know, smaller or even slightly larger than that, but based on the hardware specifications, we believe that small businesses, approximately 25 users, can use this machine. So to give you a little bit of understanding of what's under the hood, you know, as far as raw capacity, this is a 4-bay NAS that comes with 3 terabyte drives. They're all NAS grade. And it's also the first, this is also unique for Buffalo in that it's the first TeraStation that we're launching that comes with our own Buffalo designed hardware RAID controller. And hardware RAID controllers, if you're not familiar with the technology, are typically much more faster and reliable than their software counterparts. So any kind of RAID rebuilding that you're doing will run a lot faster on this than on software RAID. Comes with a dual-core Intel i3 processor and comes with 8 gigabytes of RAM. So if you're wondering, can you run your entire operating system, your entire office, virtualize everything on virtual boot on this machine? I think from these hardware specifications, you'll be able to kind of gauge that, you know, or realize that that's not possible. Again, 8 gigabytes of RAM will probably allow you to spin up 1 to 2 business critical machines at most. And again, that's why this unit's really designed for small businesses. If you need more horsepower as far as in the virtual boot area, again, as I mentioned before, the StorageCraft Cloud Services has a very nice service, and they have a lot of our hardware that'll give you that performance that you're looking for. As far as the software is concerned, this is running on Windows Storage Server 2012 Standard Edition, and why that's notable is that it gives you access to the Hyper-V, the Microsoft Hyper-V hypervisor. You can run 2 instances of that on the Standard Edition license. And it comes with the 3 StorageCraft software products that I just went over. Shadow Protect SPX for virtual boot, Image Manager for snapshot validation, snapshot data retention management, as well as a flexible offsite replication capabilities. And then there's also recovery environment, which allows you to quickly recover or create a recovery ISO to quickly execute a bare metal restore on your replacement hardware. So hopefully this short presentation gives you an understanding that you know, this solution can provide users with a peace of mind that their small business can stay running up and running in the event of a disaster, again, big or small. And with that, I'm going to hand it back to Brett for a couple of slides on our partnership with D&H and MSRP and other housekeeping issues.
Yeah, and as thanks, Mike. And as Mike mentioned, with the Windows Storage Server Standard Edition, you are able to take advantage of virtual boot on Hyper-V. Those of you that have known StorageCraft for a while know that we've leveraged Oracle VirtualBox for a long time for virtual boot, and it's been No, it's a very active open source community project and been very nice, but you get a little better memory management when you're using Microsoft's native hypervisor with Hyper-V. We just announced that capability. I can't remember if it was the end of November, beginning of December, but Martin will be showing that later for the demo. Out of the box, it's set up to use VirtualBox, but we've done a video for you and it's very simple, instantiate the Hyper-V role, download our plugin, install it, and then you'll have a drop down that just allows you to choose Hyper-V for the hypervisor for virtual boot. So as Mike mentioned, Buffalo's preferred and exclusive distributor for the Recovery Center 25 is D&H. Estimated street price of the unit is $34.99. I really want to encourage you to look into Buffalo's VAR program for getting VAR discounts, and also their deal registration offering, which are significant % discounts for you to get you the best procurement price through D&H. So again, as Mike mentioned, it comes with all of our recovery tools pre-installed, virtual boots enabled, the recovery environments there, image manager there, etc. It does not include Shadow Protect agent licenses, but it works with perpetual or subscription licenses. Our perpetual licenses are available through D&H, so you can purchase them at the time that you purchase the Recovery Center, but our subscription-based license, our MSP licenses will work as well, and it also work with both Shadow Protect SPX and Shadow Protect 5 backing up and recovering on the TeraStation. So with that, it is demo time. So I am going to go ahead and give Martin Merrill presenter rights. And Martin, you should have presenter rights now, and go ahead.
I got it. Hey, thanks, Brett, and thanks, Mike, for everything you've done for the webinar so far. So by way of introduction, my name is Martin Merrill. I'm a sales engineer with StorageCraft. So I'm the guy that knows a little bit more about the StorageCraft software and some of the things that we are actually going to enable you to do on that Recovery Center 25 device. So what I'm going to be doing today then is just kind of walking you through the standard StorageCraft solution. I'm going to introduce you to StorageCraft SPX, or Shadow Protect SPX. It's the latest and greatest version of Shadow Protect. It's something that we released last year. We're extremely happy for it. We've actually got this on the screen for you right now. If you're familiar with Shadow Protect, anything version 5 and earlier, you're going to notice this is quite a bit of a change as far as the way that it looks. But I'll be introducing you to the different way that things have changed, but also introducing you to the interface. We'll also go ahead and, so what I'll do is I'll walk you through the interface, how to take a backup. We'll talk about some of the recovery features you can launch right here from the main screen. We'll take you over to the TeraStation itself. We'll walk you through a virtual boot, and you can see what that's all about. We'll introduce you to Image Manager. For those of you who are familiar with StorageCraft already, a lot of this may seem like review, but I think it'll be nice for you to just kind of take a look and make sure that you have an understanding of how we all work together. And then based on what kind of time we've got, I do also want to introduce you to the StorageCraft Cloud, and we'll share some of the different features that are available there. You know, as already been discussed, you know, a good disaster recovery scenario isn't just having your data stored in some kind of a storage device on site, but you also want to have that data off-site in case there is a true disaster, something that destroys your entire location. You know, you don't want your building burning to the ground and not having anything that you can recover with. So we'll be kind of just discussing all of this. And so if we'll direct your attention to the screen then, let me introduce you to what you got. Now here's my environment. I'm actually got a Windows 2012 server currently running as a virtual machine on my desktop. I'm just using VMware Workstation, and I've got Shadow Protect SPX currently installed. Now one of the cool things about SPX that we didn't have in Shadow Protect version 5 and earlier is that we will actually provide support for Linux. There are certain Linux distributions in CentOS, Ubuntu, and Red Hat that we're actually currently supporting. You can actually back up your Linux systems now where we couldn't before. So SPX is the latest and greatest version that actually allows for that. Now you'll notice that what we've done with the new interface of SPX is we've tried to make sure that we put all the important information or the different tools that you would need just right there front and center once you launch the console. All right, anyone that understands or recognizes or has had a history with Shadow Protect earlier, you had to kind of dig down to different levels in order to actually do something. Want to take a backup, you had to hit the right backup screen, then run the backup wizard and actually walk you through the different options. We found that we can get things done a lot quicker by simply having all the information, all your options presented front and center. So that's what we've done. If you take a look at the interface then, you'll notice that we list any backup jobs right away. Any backup jobs that are currently configured are going to be found right up top. You can see I've got a backup job currently configured. It's backing up to my Buffalo device, so I've gone ahead and I've named it Buffalo. It'll show the volumes that are currently being backed up, the current status, information on the next backup, the most recent backup as well. You can see my last one was successful, so that's a thumbs up. Down a little bit further below and off to the left, we actually have a job summary. Now, the job summary here is going to include a little bit of extra information. Some of it's redundant. For example, it's still the name, it's cute. But we'll also give information about what type of backup it is. So we can see this is what we call a continuous incremental backup. Basic information about the schedule. So I'm actually going to run this job each day of the work week. Disk usage that's currently there. Information on the destination. You can see the IP address of that TeraStation just right in there. So the job summary is kind of a nice place to take a quick glance at what your backup job consists of, what the basic information you're going to want to need. In addition to that, you'll notice that we've got some tools you can launch just right here. You know, we can actually, from the interface, we can pause this job if we need to. Just hit the little pause symbol, and your backup is going to stop taking, or your SPX is going to stop taking backup until you're ready to restart the job again. So if for any reason you need to do that, right here from the main screen, you can go ahead and do that. Hit play again, it'll resume the backup job. If I want to kick off a backup, it used to be I had to actually enter the backups tab and launch a backup that way, but right here from the main screen, if I wanted to take an incremental backup, say, off the schedule, I could just go right ahead and hit this play button, and it'll say, all right, let's go ahead and take either an incremental backup, or maybe we'll rebase to a full backup and start a brand new backup chain. We're going to be given those options right away. In this case, I could just go right ahead and start a new backup, not a big deal. We can edit the job, we can delete the job, and we've got those controls just right there at our fingertips the minute we enter the Shadow Protect SPX console. You know, so as you can see right there, we've done quite a bit just to make this application quite a bit easier to use. Now over here, you'll also notice, and one of the things that we're really excited about is we have now a job timeline. This timeline is going to give us a graphic look at what our backups are currently doing, what they look like, are they successful? It used to be that you had to drill down into the history of previous versions of Shadow Protect, but not so much anymore. Our job timeline will actually give us a visual representation of our backups as they exist in our backup chain. The history on them, you'll notice as I click on each one of these different items in the timeline, the information down below updates with the name of the backup file that was generated, the size of the backup file, the actual graphical interface or the graphical image itself can give you some immediate details as well. For example, the height of the actual image there, or the graphical piece, will give us an indication as to how large the file was that was created. The width of it, how long it took to actually create. So, not to mention the color. You know, if I've got a color that's green, it means that we've had an incremental backup taken. Because it's not red, indicates that it was a successful backup. So again, right when we launch the console, we can take a look and say, hey, our backups are working. Or if they were failing, we're going to have a bunch of nice red lines there, and we can then say, uh-oh, you know, that's a problem. Let's see if we can fix it. So again, right away, we're able to make a determination of how our backups are going. Everything is color-coded, as I've kind of pointed out already. You know, anything in green is an incremental. I think yesterday we actually had a differential kickoff at one point, and I could tell because it's brown. You know, still successful, but I'm guessing the machine must have been shut down ungracefully at some point. And so in order to compensate, kicked off a differential backup, which is just a more precise way of gathering information and comparing it to the initial full backup at some point. We can keep our backup chain nice and clean from that point forward. So, you know, our graphical user interface is going to be very, very helpful in helping you determine what's going on, rather than having to drill down and take a look at your backup history. A couple other things to note. Through this timeline, as I've shown before, you'll click on the point in time that the backup file will show. Make a load of this. We've got a number of additional tools that we can use to kick off specific functions. If you're familiar with previous versions of Shadow Protect, you know that we can do a mount of your backup images, which essentially allows us to open up those images, present the data from those images to Windows, and actually browse through it as if it's a hard drive. Well, that functionality is available right here with a single click from the interface. You'll want to select the point in time in your timeline that you're interested in, and this little down arrow icon, if I select it, allows us to start that mount procedure right here. We've also given you some additional capability in this regard, where it used to be that we were forced to simply use a drive letter. We now have the option to say, nah, a drive isn't really what I want. Let's just go ahead and mount it so it looks like a folder within Windows instead. And then I can drill down into that folder when Windows Explorer comes up. And I'll actually show you this here in just a second. You'll be able to see what that looks like, so that you can see how you can recover on a file and folder level that way. We can also kick off a full-scale hard drive restore. If one of our drives gets completely died, it's no longer operational, it's got all our data on it, we can pop that drive out, put a new one in, and right here from the little reverse arrow icon, we can start a dialog that allows us to restore a complete data volume if we want to, right here from within the interface. And then, of course, the little check mark gives us the option to verify. The little I here gives us information about the backup file. Actually opens up our file browser or our chain browser so that we can get information on what that chain looks like, including dependencies and that type of thing. So, again, brief introduction to the interface. Now let's talk about creating a backup. We have done away with the backup wizard that StorageCraft and Shadow Protect was actually known for. Instead, we figured that it's a much faster method to simply open up a dialog, which allows us to specify the pieces that we want included with this backup and essentially let it go. So to kick off a new backup, we're going to launch it through our little shield icon right up here at the top. So select that. It's going to open up my backup dialog, which gives us 3 different screens to kind of click through. We have our settings, first of all, where we can enter in our job name. And then down below, we get to specify our destination. In this case, I've already set up my TeraStation Recovery Center 25 as a location. If I need to set up a new destination, I can just click on that right here. We do support backing up to local devices as well as a network share. In the case of the Recovery Center 25, of course, you're going to be setting up a share on that device, and that, of course, will be where you'll put those backup images. Anyway, once you've got your destination selected, if there's anything interesting about the backup job you want people to know about, we do have a place for a comment. We can specify whatever drives it is that you want to back up. We do offer compression as well. The same compression options that we had with Shadow Protect are still available. We have our option for no compression, standard compression, and then our best compression. The standard is going to give you about 30 to 40% compression of that backup image. And then we also have our best compression, which is closer to 50 to 60%. And then, of course, there's the option for no compression. We will also, by default, want to encrypt these backup images, which will be required if you want to use the StorageCraft cloud and replicate that data to an offsite location. That way we'll keep that data nice and secure. We do offer 3 methods of encryption. There's an option for 128-bit RC4, an AES 128-bit, and an AES 256-bit. Of course, 256-bit is our most secure. That's going to be, that's the equivalent of military-grade encryption as it exists right now. Of course, these faster options, 128, RC4, and AES, those will accomplish that backup quite a bit quicker, but of course, it's not going to be quite as secure as a 256-bit key. And of course, we're going to generate that encryption based on the password that is entered in here. And once you've set those different parameters, you'll come over here to your schedule, and we're going to offer the same scheduling options that we had with Shadow Protect. So we still offer the continuous incremental, the full plus incrementals, whether it's on a weekly basis or a monthly basis. Single full backup may be scheduled once per week, or even your full with additional fulls taken on a manual basis. You'd actually log in and actually manually take it, but we'll keep the details of the backup job intact. To give you kind of a quick overview, your continuous incremental is typically the one that StorageCraft would recommend that you do. A continuous incremental takes a full backup once and one time only, and it's a complete image of your system. We're going to grab that image. We're going to pull the data from the sector level. We're actually looking at the ones and zeros on that volume, and it's going to be a complete image of your machine. And that's going to be an anchor for a backup chain of incrementals that will be taken from that point forward, kind of at a never-ending schedule. And you're going to specify what days of the week you want those incrementals to happen, the time frame within those days that you want those to be taken, as well as how frequently you want them to happen. With SPX, we actually give you the ability to be pretty flexible on how frequently you want those incremental snapshots to be taken. So, we can expand it to half a day in between backups, or we could take it down to as frequently as every 15 minutes. When you consider your recovery point objective and how much data you can actually afford to lose, being able to have a threshold of as frequently as every 15 minutes is probably a good thing if you consider, say, your Exchange servers, your SQL servers, anything that's currently managing the CRM that's getting hit constantly day in and day out. You're not going to want to have to worry about how much data may have been lost because you didn't take a backup more frequently or, a little bit sooner than the time of the actual disaster. So we give you some really good flexibility. From anywhere from 15 minutes to a half day or whatever it is that seems to work best. The default is going to be every hour, but you can schedule those throughout the day. And again, your continuous incremental is a continuous chain that essentially never ends until you end that backup job or until your machine fails or whatever it is that happens. Now, because this is such a, it's kind of a tricky way to manage a continuous incremental because you got thousands of incremental points in time. They all kind of rely on each other in order for you to rebuild a system. So how can you manage something like that? How are you going to keep that backup chain in check instead of becoming this huge beast of a series of files to have to try to manage? Well, we actually have a solution for that. It's called Image Manager. Image Manager is part of what you get with the TeraStation Recovery Center 25. It's automatically installed. It's available for you so that when you start taking your continuous incremental backups, it's going to be there to consolidate those continuous incremental files on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. And with each consolidation that happens, you're going to have the option to purge out the previous iterations of those files and keep just those consolidated files in your backup chain. That's going to give you the ability to shrink that chain down and keep just those consolidated files, and those individual points in time can then be removed and forgotten because you've lessened the hops in your chain. But it does also give you some flexibility. If you want to be more granular, you can actually still choose to keep a series of the more granular pieces within that chain. But it is pretty much up to you. But that's what Image Manager is all about. And if you're going to do a continuous incremental job like this, yeah, you're going to want Image Manager installed, managing those files and running. Image Manager does a number of other things as well. We'll give you a quick peek at Image Manager before we close up the webinar today as well, so you can actually see that and some of the nice other features that it has. But anyway, so that's our continuous backup. Then again, like I said, we've got a mixed option, which is a weekly full or maybe a monthly full or maybe twice a week. But we can also still schedule incrementals to keep backups set intact in between those full backups. And so we do have a retention policy that can be applied in our advanced settings if you're choosing a mixed, a full or a full manual option. Which leads me to our advanced options. Whenever you're setting up a backup job, we give you the ability to set some additional parameters that might be helpful. For example, if you're not using anything that's VSS enabled, let's say you've got an Oracle database and VSS isn't really going to do a whole lot with that. But it's important for you to get a good clean backup of what's happening in RAM, for example. You can run a pre and post snapshot script that will save the data to disk, shut down Oracle, then restart it again at the time the backup is finished. We have that capability built in. VSS is automatically enabled. All right, so in your Windows machines that are currently running Exchange, SQL, SharePoint, anything like that, we can actually make sure that VSS operates and runs with each backup that we run, so that any of the different VSS settings that you've set up for your Exchange Center or your Exchange server, for example, if you need to manage those transaction logs accordingly, get those truncated so you don't end up with these exponential growth within these logs with each new backup, VSS is automatically enabled. But we don't do to run everything. If you're only running a number of different VSS services, you can go ahead and deselect the ones that you're not using, stick with the ones that you are, and that can save some of the resources that might be running when you try to run that backup job. So that gives you some more flexibility. It's a feature that was not in our previous versions of Shadow Protect, but it is available here. Now that I've run through all the different pieces of creating a backup, just go ahead and click on Save. It'll start the backup job, and you're good to go. All right. So taking a backup, we still make it very, very easy, very quick, and easy to use. So let's talk about restore, recovery. I'm going to try and only keep this now within the next 10 minutes and kind of be done so we can have questions. But let's talk about recovery. When it comes to file and folder recovery, sometimes I get the question asked, you're an image-based backup solution. How do I grab just a file or folder that I need? Well, the answer is, hey, we've got the tools to do that. A lot of people think that in order to grab just a single file that might have been deleted accidentally, you got to do a full restore of your image, and that's going to take forever. But it's actually not that way. We provide the functionality very, very simply. I've already touched on it by simply talking about and using that mount feature that I was talking about before. So file and folder recovery, let's go ahead and show it to you. Let's go ahead and create a little document here. We'll call it test. We'll open it up, put some text in there. All right. And we'll save it, exit. All right, so just entered and created some very important information that we don't want to lose. SPX is currently installed. It's backing up every hour. We had one here that started back at noon, but I'm going to go ahead and kick off a new backup by hitting my little play button. I'm going to get the option to start an incremental. We're going to save this data that I just created, and it's going to become part of my backup chain. So it's going to take a quick snapshot. This whole process will be done probably within about 10 seconds. And it'll grab this data that was just created, add it to my backup chain, and then I'll delete it, and I'll show you how it is that we can pull it back out of that chain very, very quickly and easily using the mount feature. And it looks like it's making me a liar. It's probably going to be a little bit more than 10 seconds. So just hold on. There we go. And the snapshot is now, or should be now, complete. There we go. Yeah. So we just created a new incremental backup in my backup chain. This information has now been saved. If I'm having a bad day and I accidentally end up deleting this file, you know, and then like an idiot, I empty it from the recycle bin. I've lost it, right? I no longer have that file, and I gotta pull it out of my backup chain. So here's how I would do that. It created a new point in time in my backup chain. All right, I can see that right here on my job timeline. This is the one that happened just about, you know, just a minute ago. If I wanted to restore that file, I'm going to select that point in time. I'm going to come over to the mount icon down here, right across from the file that I'm going to be mounting. I'll select that. It's going to ask me, do I want this to be a drive letter, or do I want this to be a folder? I'm going to select a drive letter in this case. I click OK, and it's going to get that mounting process started. The process is quick. As you can see, it immediately brought up Windows Explorer. I can then go ahead, find that drive, and this is now a representation of the drive of this 2013 server, or this 2012 server. I can now browse through, find the file that I need to restore, and drag it and drop it out. So it was on my desktop. I was logged in as the administrator. So I go to my users, open up administrator. I can now take a look at the desktop, and hey, there it is. There's that test file that I accidentally deleted. Restoring at this point is very simple. I'll drag it, drop it out to the desktop, and it's there. And then just to make sure this is the actual file, we can open it up. There we go. And sure enough, that's it. All right. In whatever language that is, I've gone ahead and restored it. So very, very quick, very, very simple. I can go ahead and close Windows Explorer, go ahead and close this little task window. But you'll also notice up at top, now that I've got this mounted volume, I have this mounted icon indicating with a little red 1 up at the top that I have a mounted volume. I can go ahead and dismount it then by clicking on my little mounted image icon and say, yep, there's my E drive. Let's go ahead and dismount it now. I really don't need it. So we'll dismount it. It closes everything up. I can verify now by going into Windows Explorer that I no longer have that E drive. Everything is closed up, and I'm back to normal. All right, so that's file and folder recovery within SPX. Very cool, very fast, and you're going to get that capability on that recovery center as well. Now, what happens then if I kill the machine? Let's say this is a machine that you know, at some point in time dies on me because it's got a bad motherboard or whatever it is. You know, it just dies on me. That's kind of the worst case scenario. We don't want our mission critical machines to go down. And if they do, that's kind of a panic inducing type of a scenario because, you know, this could mean your job. This could mean some major lost revenue for the company depending on what kind of loss of productivity you have. So we've built within the TeraStation itself the ability to do what we call virtual boot. And I know this is something that was touched on by both Brett and Mike. Those of you who are already understanding or have already got an understanding of StorageCraft and Shadow Protect, you know what virtual boot is. But we've got that capability built onto the Recovery Center 25. It's already there. It's installed. There's nothing else that you really need to do to get that up and running. As was mentioned before, we offer a virtual boot on VirtualBox as one method. It's just kind of a tier 2 hypervisor, or you can run it on Hyper-V. Hyper-V is going to be installed and enabled on the Buffalo device itself. So oftentimes we suggest go ahead and default to that. You're going to get a good solid virtualization every single time. What's cool about virtual boot is that we are booting directly from the backup images, and that's what makes it so quick and so great. We're not going to take that data and copy it over and convert it into your standard virtual hard drive format. Instead, we're going to simply open up those images, kind of like we did to mount it. We're going to present the data to Hyper-V or to VirtualBox as if it's something that they can boot and work with, and it'll do it automatically. So let's demonstrate. I just killed my 2012 server. I'm going to run virtual boot directly from the TeraStation device itself. As you can see, we are on the TeraStation. It's got the Buffalo logo. This is it. To run a virtual boot, we're going to hit the little wooden box icon. That's going to start the virtual boot dialog. Again, I can choose VirtualBox or Hyper-V. I'm going to select Hyper-V. Now let's find the backup image that we want to virtual boot. All my backups are stored in this backup image folder on the D drive. Okay, I've got the Windows 2012 server. I'm going to select. Oops, I need to actually open it up. So let's go back here. I need to double click. There we go. And then I'm going to find the backup image for the volume that I want to boot. I know that the C drive is actually what I want to be booting from. Most recent incremental is probably going to be the most likely candidate. So io19.spi, the one that I took here a couple minutes ago, is the one I'm going to try and boot from. I'm going to select that. It says, yep, this is it. It is bootable. We're going to give it its own name. Actually, there we go. I'm going to give it a little bit of RAM. 2 gigs ought to be sufficient. Networking should automatically be enabled within the Hyper-V scenario. I'm going to go ahead and click on Create. It's going to start the process, and we're going to get this thing going. At this time, we're going to cover, during this process, it's going to go through a hardware-independent restore process where it'll address the driver issues to make sure that we've got virtual drivers for anything that are going to be needed to control that virtual machine, to interface with the correct hardware. This process is a process that typically takes just a couple minutes at the most. I've seen anywhere from about 1.5 minutes to have things booted up, anywhere to maybe 5 minutes, depending on what's actually having to load at the time the thing boots up. In this case here, you see we're quick. We've got that virtual machine already built and ready to boot up. All right. So this is going to save yourself. This is going to save your career. This is going to save your environment. You get an Exchange server that dies, we can get it back up and running again on the Buffalo TeraStation in just a matter of a few minutes. Once it's up, check your network, make sure that you're still attached to the network, get on the domain, which is all should be carried over right in there in that virtual machine, because essentially it's nothing more than an image of the machine that just died. And you're going to be able to be up and running again. We'll continue to take backups in this environment, and everything is great. Now, I was hoping to get into a little bit more about Image Manager. I think I went a little bit long today. So we'll let this go ahead and boot up in the background. We need to allow some time for questions, so I'm going to just kind of breeze through some of this. But Image Manager, like I said, is automatically installed on the TeraStation device. This is the piece that will manage those continuous incremental jobs, do the consolidation and everything. It'll verify the backup images, make sure they're in good shape, gives you the ability, you know, if you've got Image Manager running, there are notifications that can be sent up to tell you if there's anything wrong. If you've got Image Manager installed, you're going to know that your backup chains are in good shape. You're going to know that your backup chains are going to be following a retention policy that you like and that you have set up that works for your environment, and it's going to help you sleep at night. All right. Now, in addition to that, a couple things you also want to know. Not only is it going to manage those images, this is the tool we use for replicating offsite. It is also a tool that we use that can pre-build a recovered device in a virtual hard drive or physical environment if you want to. The key here with Head Start Restore is, you know, if you've got a machine or a hard drive even that you can just take and plug into a brand new machine, we can pre-build a restored environment on that drive at any point in time and kind of bypass this whole need for virtual boot. However, there is an additional fee associated with it, just like there's an additional fee for replication. Now, I'm also going to just, I'm going to kind of be rude here for just a second. I want to address one more quick thing that has been discussed but I haven't shown, and that is that we do offer our own cloud services as an option for our clients, our end users to be able to take advantage of. It's accessed through the MSP portal. This, again, is off-site replication, and we offer a number of different service levels. So this is mostly going to be just so you can have a quick peek at what it looks like, all right? But you can actually replicate your backup data into the StorageCraft cloud, keep that data there safe and sound. We've got 3 different service levels you can choose. There's our Basic, our Plus, and our Premium. Cloud Basic is very just basic. image storage are going to keep your data safe and sound and send it back to you on a drive when you need it. Cloud Plus gives you that same basic capability, but also provides the ability to do a mount in our cloud and restore on a file and folder basis. And then there's Cloud Premium, and this is the real big kahuna. This is real disaster recovery and business continuity. We actually allow for you to build a virtual machine. As you can see, I've actually got one right here, and we'll build it just like a virtual boot will directly from your backup images and allow you to run that for a period of time while everything has died, you know, so that you don't have to necessarily be in a situation where everything is now lost. You can see I've got a virtual machine currently running directly from my file server's image. We can view it, we can interact with it, just like you know, it's like having a remote access directly to it right here from our cloud. So as you can see, I can have access directly to that virtual machine, log in, do whatever it is that I need to. So that's about it for me. I think I went a little bit long. We do have a few more minutes for questions. And feel free to continue to send those through, and we'll see if we can address those for the next few minutes. But guys, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being part of the webinar. This is a pleasure for me to sit down and be able to show some of the cool stuff that we have to offer. I'm going to go ahead and turn the time back over to Brett. I'll make him the presenter, and we can kind of finish things up by answering a few questions until time runs out. So Brett, back to you, making you the presenter now.
Awesome, awesome. And there we go. Okay, we have a lot of questions. I've answered the majority of them, but I have a few that I don't know the answers to, and so Leslie, thank you for all your questions. So you asked 6 at once. I'm gonna answer one of those. The question was, can you test the backup image? Image Manager actually goes through and periodically verifies the image against the checksum. So we have a real good reliability of those images, but absolutely, yes, you can test the backup image. You can, in fact, virtual boot is a great way to do that. You can just virtual boot the backup image, make sure it boots. In fact, some people use that for testing patches. They'll virtual boot an image, apply some patches, see how that goes, then tear it down, and then redo it. But Mike Wong, I have some questions from Leslie that I don't know for you. First was, how do you know if you have a drive failure? She's asking, you know, does the RC25 have any drive management things that talk about drive failure?
Yes, so I do see Leslie's questions. Yeah, the Recovery Center 25, the hardware will actually send out an alert if there is a drive failure, both audible and as well as electronic. The second question that I see is, let's see, can you attach an external drive to the BDR for more storage? So that's a very good question. Yes, actually you can. The Recovery Center 25 does have 2 USB 3.0 ports as well as 4 USB 2.0 ports. So they are available if you want to attach you know, an external drive to it, and it is running on a Windows storage server operating system, so it would be recognized just as any other external USB drive. As far as upgrading the memory, that's a popular question that we've been getting recently. Currently, right now, we only support 8 gig of RAM. We are currently investigating if it is possible to bump that up to something more, but at this point, all we are supporting right now, all we are officially supporting now is 8 gigabytes of RAM, and it is not user upgradable at this point. As far as who can you, your last question is, who do you contact for support, Buffalo or StorageCraft? Again, very good question. Buffalo and StorageCraft's support teams have been actually working together, and the way it is now is that if you call in if you have a hardware issue with the Recovery Center, you know, you most likely dial into Buffalo to handle that. If it was a software issue, the Buffalo support team does have some you know, a very high level knowledge of the StorageCraft product, so they'd be able to determine if it's something they can help you with, or if not, forward you over to the StorageCraft support team. So it is a very basic understanding of the StorageCraft solution, but should be enough to, you know, point you in the right direction as far as where to get help with that.
Yeah, and as Mike mentioned, the support teams have been working together. Escalation channels are in place, so we want to make that as good of an experience that we can when you're working with the RC25 and the StorageCraft technologies that it comes with. Also, a question that you may know, Martin, I didn't know. So when you're doing file and folder mounting recovery, so simple to do that. The question was, can multiple users mount the same backup image and have it exposed as a drive letter? I don't know if there's a sharing conflict or anything like that. Do you know that question?
You know, that's a really good question. I don't think that you're going to be able to have multiple people from different locations point to that file and mount it. I think once it's mounted once, it's going to be locked. However, you could create a mount point and then share it so that multiple people can use the mounted volume. That, I believe, is possible. So I don't know. I'm guessing that answers the question based on what it sounds like. But you know, multiple people pointing to it within their SPX console and performing the mount, no. But once the image once the image has been mounted and is now available through Windows Explorer, you should be able to share that, and multiple people can gain access to that mounted volume. Yes.
Cool. A good question and a timely question is, can this address issues with ransomware? And the answer to that is absolutely. I actually have a couple great success stories from StorageCraft partners that have used Shadow Protect to recover their customers from ransomware. Certainly a timely topic with you know, Hollywood Presbyterian and the ransom that they paid. You know, something that you definitely can leverage when you're talking to your clients, that you can protect them against ransomware. I mean, really the only solution to once you're encrypted is to go to a previous point in time, and Shadow Protect is perfect for that. So absolutely with that. Actually, we were talking about this earlier, Martin. Question on the cloud. Cloud used to be tunable as far as how much you allocated to a VM processor and memory. Can you talk about how cloud, this iteration of StorageCraft Cloud handles that, and if VMs are tunable?
Good question. So yeah, I know what you're talking about. They used to be tunable within the older cloud, where you as a user could actually go in and specify how much RAM you want allocated, how many processors, and that type of thing. Those features are not available for you to actually address this time. Your initial virtual boot is going to be done dynamically based on what we're able to determine about the environment as we're booting it up. If you need additional processes, we can allocate those. We would just need to have a request come in, and we can usually get that done very, very quickly. So the answer is yes, we still have the resources that we can throw at that virtual machine. They're just not automatically configurable up front. The cloud would do the very best it can to make sure that it is up and running based on what it determines those requirements to be, and then if you need more, request it, and yes, we can do that.
I think one of the very compelling things about StorageCraft Cloud Services is its self-service model. What you just saw Martin do is exactly what you do to recover a machine. You don't have to place a support incident. You have to get a tech online, nothing. You go into the portal, pick your client, pick the device, server, the recovery point, and virtualize it. And it's one line of thought is now that, and we didn't mention, you can store all your networking in there as well, so a user will be able to connect very quickly. So one of the thoughts is, hey, with offsite recovery getting so performant and self-service and so fast, maybe I'll go a little thinner on-site and supplement it with offsite. I'm already doing offsite anyway, so why have that thick in both places? So very capable, but again, completely optional. One nice thing about this device is its flexibility. If you have a small client that's not ready for that, like I mentioned, they want to replicate with 2 sites, they want to replicate back to your infrastructure, to your colo, and you can capture that margin for off-site recovery and storage. We're all about that. Completely, we have a great cloud service, but like I said, completely optional. Okay, we have had like 10 more questions come in, but our time is out. I will gather all those and send a link to FAQ when you get your follow-up email from us. I want to thank you all for your interest and all the questions. Obvious that you're very interested in this type of solution, so we're happy to bring this to market with Buffalo as a partner. So again, we'll gather all those up, look for a follow-up email, and thank you so much for your time and attention today. With that, I'm going to go ahead and end the webinar. Everyone have a great day.